welcome to Paradigms at paradigms.life. Hi, I'm your host, Baruch. Happy to be here with you. Thanks for tuning in. Paradigms is here to bring you inspiring people with visions of a viable future for life on Earth that includes humans. In this episode, we're meeting two musicians, founders of a band that is bringing together Cambodian traditional music with psychedelia and rock and other musical influences that you'll be tickled by. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary, and we're going to talk about their new record and how this band came to be and how they make their music. So let's get right to it and meet them on this episode of Paradigms. Senon Williams and Zac Holtzman from the band Dengue Fever, welcome to Paradigms.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I'm excited to talk with you about the new record, Ting Mong, but I'm also just excited to talk with you about this band and how it came into existence and what the focus is, and I have some questions about all of that stuff. So welcome and thank you so much for spending some time with me. Before we get into any of that, I'm just really curious to know how this band came into existence and what is kind of the story of this group.
So I was living in San Francisco, and my friend was working at this record store called Aquarius Records, and he said, "Oh man, you got to listen to this stuff." And he kind of, clued me into the Cambodian rocks CD, and so I started listening to that. And this was like in the 90s or something. And then I moved back to Los Angeles, and I was playing it when I was staying at my brother's. And he's like, "How come you have this music?" Because he had visited Cambodia and collected a bunch of that music on his own. And then we started talking about the artists who originally made this music and how, they probably all passed away or were killed by the Khmer Rouge. And we just kind of thought it'd be neat to play some of these songs and maybe, look for a Cambodian singer. And that's how it kind of started. And we started going down to Long Beach and going to the different nightclubs until we ended up at the Dragon House, where we saw our singer, Chhom Nimol, singing it. And we asked her if she wanted to sing for us, and she didn't really speak any English, and she had somebody kind of pretending to be her manager, and her sister was like, "I don't know, I don't trust the guy with the beard," because this was right around 9/11, Anyway, she finally gave it a try and came to one of our auditions, and then all the other singers who we were trying out, they said, "Oh, Chhom Nimol will never come." And she did come, and they all left. And Nimol was what we were left with, for better or worse. And, she blew our socks off right from the beginning. That's how we started. And then I convinced Senon, he was already in another band at the time called the Radar Brothers. I wanted to make it as easy as possible. I'm like, "We'll buy all the beer. I'll move all your equipment. We'll drive to all the rehearsals."
Yeah, that ship has sailed.
That honeymoon ended 20 years ago.
You have to buy your own beer now.
Yeah. No, now we're playing we just played at the Lagunitas Brewery, and they set us up with so much beer that we've got it for life now just from playing that one show.
That's my old stomping grounds. I used to live in Forest Knolls.
All that beer is being stored at my house. So Zac has a very delusional view of how long that beer is going to last.
Right, because you got to drink it while it's fresh.
Yeah, exactly. So it's you better come over soon, Zac.
All right, well,
I think it's interesting how when we began this band, it was pre-internet. It was pre the time that I actively used a computer or had a cell phone. I traveled in Cambodia in 95, and I came across a bunch of cassette tapes with all kinds of Cambodian music, but it was also mixing new wave in the 80s in with Cambodian style of music. And I also got a hint of some of the 60s stuff that I was finding when I was traveling there. But then when back in the States, after I traveled to Cambodia, I was in New York, and a friend of mine handed me this tape called Cambodia Rocks. And I'm pretty sure Zac has seen this cassette tape too, but there was this cassette tape that was circling similar to how the internet would circulate some sort of a fad or some sort of a something unique, and interesting. This tape kind of went viral before there was a computer to make it go viral. And so I got this tape called Cambodia Rocks that had all of these amazing 60s Cambodian tracks that mixed Cambodian traditional music with psychedelic music. And to me, that's what made it extra interesting. Was it wasn't just Cambodians playing psychedelic music. It was the mixture of traditional melodies and sounds with psychedelic music. So it was equally familiar and foreign at the exact same time,
I'm talking with Senon Williams and Zac Holtzman, both founding members of the band Dengue Fever. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary as a band, and they've just released a new record called Ting Mong. We're going to hear something from it now, and then we'll be back with more conversation. This is the first track on the album. It's called Touch Me Not, Dengue Fever, on Paradigms, at paradigms.life. Touch Me Not, Dengue Fever from their new album, Ting Mong. Isn't that wonderful music? And the vocalist who couldn't join us for the interview today, Chhom Nimol, amazing vocals. All right, here's the next part of my conversation with Zac Holtzman and Senon Williams of Dengue Fever. What fascinated me when I got the information about you all and started listening to the music was, firstly, the music and all the different musical inspirations I can hear in it, which is obviously the Cambodian music, the psychedelic music. And I thought of bands like Chicago, and I thought of Laura Nyro, and, just there's a lot of stuff in there. But then the other piece that is interesting to me, of course, I grew up during the Vietnam War, is how this is, in my imagination, at least, a healing for people from these different places. For Chhom Nimol, for you all, for all of us who get to hear this, a healing referencing that time. And maybe that's just in my imagination. I don't know if that's part of...
It's not just in your imagination. When we first went back to Cambodia as a band, we played a show, and after our first show, we did a little documentary of our trip back to Cambodia. It's called Sleepwalking Through the Mekong. And we interviewed some people who saw the first show, and we interviewed this Cambodian guy, and then he was just like almost in tears. He was like he's like, I think, Cambodia's been in a bad way for a while. We've been, but we have beautiful music, and I think this is so good in bringing us together and helping us remember our beautiful musical history. And he really summed it up like perfectly, and it was like exactly what we were going for,
But there's also a lot of bands that are Cambodian now, and there's a very vibrant music scene going on in Phnom Penh of young musicians embracing their rich history of music. I mean, Sinsisamuth and Rosary Sotia are national treasures, and I think young folks in Cambodia are aware of that. And I think the way that we expressed ourselves through this music, at least for me personally, I wasn't obsessing or have obsessed over Cambodian music. I obsess over music in general, So when I play the bass guitar and when I'm writing music with my bandmates, I'm coming at it from my own angle, from my influences with R&B and punk rock and surf music and, African music, Latin music, So I think there is a purity to the way that we perform, to where Nimol is bringing all of what she is, and I'm bringing what I'm bringing, and Zac is bringing what he's bringing, And I think it kind of sincerity kind of reads with the Cambodian people. So when they see us playing this music, they don't see a bunch of foreigners, biting their style. They see a bunch of foreigners embracing a history of music,
It's really wonderful to listen to.
I think, art is like a game of tag, and like back when the game started, and the Cambodian musicians were first influenced by what they were hearing during the Vietnam War on the soldier airwaves, and so they were influenced, and they combined their styles with it, and then we hear what they did with their combination, and then we add our stuff to it. So it's not like it's not about like copying. It's just adding yourself to something that you are inspired by.
Tag, you're it.
Yeah.
So you spoke with veterans in Cambodia, and I'm curious about response from veterans in the U.S.
I have a story which is a U.S. vet, but it's not necessarily related exactly to dengue fever. But I was traveling there. I was on a holiday at this time, after one of our tours, and I was in Vietnam, and this guy who was traveling by himself came up to me and said he was a Vietnam vet, and he was here when the harbor was bombed, and he just wanted to express, his experiences about being in the Vietnam War to someone, American, presumably, and that's why he came up to me. And I think when you talked about healing process, it kind of made me think of this guy who was a Vietnam vet, but went back to Vietnam as a healing journey, as to experience, a reconnection with these people, which he felt very expressed to me. He felt very close to the Vietnamese people, I thought that was kind of interesting how he is back in Vietnam to somehow heal himself, you know.
We'll be back with more of my conversation with Senon Williams and Zac Holtzman from Dengue Fever, but we're going to hear a couple of more tracks now from their new album Ting Mong, starting out with Macho Purple Sunset. That one's called Great on Paper. Before that, Macho Purple Sunset. That's Dengue Fever from their new album celebrating their 20th anniversary as a band, Ting Mong. All right, here is the next part of my conversation with Zac Holtzman and Senon Williams. What is the musical process by which you bring the traditional together with the other musical influences? How does this band actually create this music?
I think usually one of us brings in like a little acorn of an idea, and we try to grow it together. It's got a certain direction that it wants to go, and then it fights other ideas within the band, and then it ends up changing many times before it finally ends up being what we finish and what we record and what we end up playing.
Yeah, a lot of our songs are started with, guitar, bass, and drums, and then keyboards get added and horns get filled out. And then often Zac will come over to my place and work on vocal ideas where I'll be kind of recording and Zac will be singing and we'll be bouncing off ideas, and he'll come up with these basic melodies. And then we kind of hand these demos off to Nimol to translate into Khmer. I mean, we'll come up with a story and we'll give it to Nimol. And we used to write out full songs for her, but there's about twice as many syllables in the Khmer, which is a Cambodian language, than there is English. So when we write whole songs, there wouldn't be enough room for all of our lyrics. So we learned to kind of just write a few sentences and say, translate this into a verse, write it, and then we'd kind of have a pretty good idea of the choruses. And then Nimol will take it and then kind of, she can't help herself but turn whatever melody Zac comes up with into a Nimol melody. Do you know what I mean? So she'll use that inflection and the way she bends her notes, and then we end up with a song. When it's all said and done, I have an idea what the song's about initially, but when the song's done, it's usually some mystery to me,
Yeah. Sometimes Senon and I really end up liking our lyrics and what the song is saying, and we give it to Nimol and we say, feel free. We just want her to be involved. And we say, feel free to change anything you want. And in our heads, we're thinking like, swap out a word here or there, change it a little bit, but stick with the general meaning. But then she hands us back a completely different song. And so we're like, okay, all right. So this is back to being a love song instead of being like this whole history repeating itself and history being forgotten and eaten away by our stupidity, like we have.
Yeah, I'm scared to translate some of our songs back into English.
Yeah. So it's always an experience of non-attachment.
That's a good way of putting it, but the thing is that in our band, we believe in passion outweighs democracy. So if someone has a really strong idea or really cares about something enough, I tend to step away saying, I don't care as much as you do, so I think you must be right. You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes if we agree upon everything or things turn beige. I call it the beige effect. It's like I would rather someone feel very strongly about something than everybody agree on something.
Wow. I would call that respect.
Yeah, but you know what, though? We don't let's say that one person really feels strongly about something. We don't let them cry over and over again about feeling strong about everything because it's like, hey, man, you played that card too many times, and there's only so many aces in a deck.
Oh, that's great. It sounds like a family of siblings.
It is.
Well, there is 2 siblings in the band, but really, we're not still together because of the music. We're together because we love each other.
I hope you're enjoying this conversation with Senon Williams and Zac Holtzman from Dengue Fever. I really enjoyed talking with them. Very interesting, all the different intentions and qualities and aspects of this band and this music. Here are a couple of more tracks. First, we're going to hear another track from the new album Ting Mong, and then we're going to hear something from their first album called Dengue Fever. Okay, this one's called Late Checkout at the Cedarwood Inn, Dengue Fever. You're listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life. That one's called Lost in Laos. That's Dengue Fever from their first record, self-titled, came out 20 years ago. Before that, from the new one, Ting Mong, Late Checkout at the Cedarwood Inn. And now here is the next part of my conversation with Zac Holtzman and Senon Williams. Ting Mong, tell me about this record. I mean, I read the notes, and I know that you'd all been on a hiatus for a while, and you came together right before COVID, and then, of course, everything hit the fan. And out of that comes this record. And I listened to this record, and then I also went and listened to the first record, just to get a sense of where you all have come. They're not as different as I might have thought, but there is a very different emotional tone in the two records. And the recent one has a very calming, sort of contemplative feeling to it. Not like it's all slow or anything, because it isn't, but the first record has more of a revved up kind of feel. So I'm just interested in the journey and this new record.
I think with this last one, we started playing more stuff that we would want to listen to or put on ourselves, or just made us more happy, and we weren't in a rush and weren't afraid of more space within a song, less going on, which is totally fine and nice to listen to when it's not a wall of sound constantly. And we were recording out in the desert, so that might have had something to do with the spaciousness. We also did some touring with that band Tanarwin, and we saw that they were okay with it being like this more like hypnotic kind of vibe. And so we just kind of let that happen. And that's, I think, what some of the things that kind of shaped the sound of Ting Mong.
Yeah, I also feel like we were real adamant about about allowing Nimol to be 100% natural within herself and her singing, you know? I think a lot of times on the other records, we would have these ideas that were really difficult for us to translate to Nimol. And instead of letting those ideas float away and disappear, we would keep working on it until she found, you know, a middle ground or a place to be within the song, you know? So I think we really wrote to Nimol's natural abilities on this record, you know? And I also completely agree with Zac, and everything he said was, you know, we didn't want to make a highly kinetic record. You know, we wanted to make something that was repetitive and really calming, you know, and we wanted that vibe to carry throughout the whole album, you know. He did a lot more songs that we were started, and as we progressed making this record, we kind of, you know, found the focus.
One of the things I noticed between the two records, and I haven't listened to all the ones in between, is that in the new record, Nimol's voice is very much an instrument. And in the earlier record, she's singing the songs, but there's less of that feeling. In this record, it's really like, yes, she's singing these songs, but her voice is like more like a musical instrument than like a voice singing words.
Yeah.
Like a flute or some instrument playing the wandering, beautiful line over the rhythmic stuff that we're
Exactly.
kind of holding down. I mean, that first album that you keep going back to, those were 95% of those were covers. I think we only wrote like one or two of those songs. This one, we wrote them all. And
it's been a journey, 20 years.
Yeah, more.
Yeah. Yeah. This latest new record is like it's like starting a new family over again, having a child. We've been having kids for 20 years now, if you can call a record a child. Yeah, we've been a band a long time, you know, and we're not really a crazy prolific band. I don't know, maybe we put out 5 or 6 full lengths with a bunch of stuff in between, but we really, you know, we tend to make an album, we tend to tour it for a couple of years, and then we kind of recede into, you know, our personal lives for a year, and then we get back at it again, you know. So we've been together 20 years, but I think we've also, you know, it's been more of like a turtle's journey than a rabbit's. You know, we're not in a race. We're working in a very natural way to ourselves, you know.
So this record is out there, and you just did a show in Lagunitas. Are you touring this more widely than Northern California?
Yeah, we're doing, we call it Weekend Warrior is what we call it. So we do a lot of short stints, you know, 1 show or 4 shows, and, you know, and we're just doing them as they come. And it seems like we're kind of going out. We just got back from the East Coast. And then we're doing some West Coast dates in San Francisco and Portland and Los Angeles coming up in September. And that's just kind of how we're going to do it. We're going to keep playing shows, you know, but I don't think we're going to be going out for any long tours. There's nothing that I know right now.
And when you do a show, what happens in the room? What's your experience? What is this music doing through to people?
It depends on the venue. Like, for example, in Philadelphia, we played at the City Winery, which is like sit down dinner supper show kind of. That's not our favorite to play for people sitting down. So we were a little bit like, but I don't know. We kind of started off slow, and I think we really hooked them in and drew them all in, and they were like dancing through the tables. And there was like 2 groups of people dancing on either side of like the tables. And by the end of the show, there was like 20 people up on stage with us singing one of the last songs with us. So, I mean, we try our best to like just break down the wall and just have a great time together.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens. We had a conga line at that show, you know, that was cracking me up. We really feed off the audience, you know, and the audience usually feeds off. It's like a loop. And we usually get a lot of feedback, you know, in that loop. So it's a party.
We'll be back with the final part of my conversation with Zac Holtzman and Senon Williams after we hear this track from the new album Ting Mong. It's called Over the Handlebars. handlebars. That's Dengue Fever from their new album, Ting Mong. And now let's get back to my conversation with founding members of the band, Senon Williams and Zac Holtzman. You know, here we are on this planet and all this stuff is going on. And if you're paying any attention at all, you have some sense of the many directions humans are going in all at once right now. And some of them are really wonderful and some of them are not. And so I'm just interested in anything either of you want to say about what it is that you want to be putting into the world, what you're observing, how you feel about it, what you think about it, kind of anything.
I am also a visual artist. There's this one painting, and I use a lot of text in my paintings, and one painting says, "Death does not stop the killing." You know, so it's really disparaging, and I feel really, you know, when one tragedy takes the headlines from another tragedy, doesn't mean the last tragedy stopped. Do you know what I mean? Looking around for sensationalism, and if they can't find it, they create it. You know what I mean? And then when it becomes monetized, then it becomes followed. You know, where pain is the process to capital. You know, so it gives me a little hope for humanity. But then you look to the arts. You know, I feel like art can tell a more accurate depiction of history than 100 years of headlines in the newspaper, you know, because it's a artist exposing truth, you know, or living through pain. So I think as an artist, to bring joy is just as important as to bring sorrow, you know, or at least to uncover it and to share it, you know. So, I mean, I have my own personal views, and of course, it's always a constant part of my conversations and parties and hangouts and with the band. But ultimately, I try to look for hope when I'm really disparaged at humanity, you know, and, you know, that's it. Also, speaking about the Vietnam War, is that I was speaking with my uncle recently, and he was telling me he thought the world was ending during Vietnam, you know. And so I started thinking about, am I so important that the world's going to end on my watch? You know, I don't think so. I don't think I'm that important. So I think a lot of these things that feel like, you know, Armageddon or the world's crumbling upon itself and will never heal, I don't think we will know, because I think the world and humanity is going to carry on without us.
I'm surprised that we stay together as a society as much as we do. I mean, we saw like during COVID, we saw kind of like what could start to happen, you know, when everyone's just like afraid to go grocery shopping and like hunkering down in wherever they are, and then like starting to think about, you know, fresh water and protein. And I'm just kind of blown away that like we're still, for the most part, at least where, you know, in the US, I mean, we're getting fresh vegetables and holding together as a society, and like money still work, you know, like, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if within our lifetime, we're like looking at, you know, American dollar bills and like people aren't even accepting that. And it just becomes a barter system, you know, if we break down.
Burning our dollar bills for warmth.
Yeah. Or using them for, you know, it's pretty strong paper. I mean, it's like waterproof. You know, those dollar bills, I don't know what kind of, I think they use like 7 or 8 different trees to get the paper for it.
And there are cloth fibers in there. Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, if like money stops working. So I don't know, hang on to your gold.
Really, my neighborhood, my particular block that I live on in LA, is very tight knit. We all communicate and hang out in the street together, and we do all kinds of events. My particular street, very unique. We have had some funny conversations about who would do what, you know, like I'd be able to go out and do like find new, you know, I'm pretty good with people. So I can go find like the right people to bring back into our community. Our neighbor, Billy, she's really good with, she grew up with guns. So she said she could handle, you know, hunting and security. You know, we're all like dividing up responsibilities for all of us.
Yeah. Well, that's actually really, really smart. I was a first responder in New Orleans after Katrina, and one of the things I learned is know your neighbors, know who has what skills and what tools.
So you have it.
Yeah.
I got to jump on you, Zach. You better start talking to your neighbors. Figure that one out.
I'm friends with all my neighbors. I caught a chicken out in the street for one of my neighbors that has chicken also. Put it in like a, you know, an animal container, like a dog box, and started just kind of walking down the street. And he's like, Like, oh, you got one of my girls.
It's better than bringing them back in a casserole dish.
Yeah. But they have a pig too. The pig makes some crazy noises. And then our neighbor up on the hill has a goat too. It's like, I don't know.
Well,
wow, city living. Who knew?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like people are really like starting to kind of, I think, maybe be more self-sufficient.
Well, Zac's telling these stories, but what's interesting is he lives in the heart of LA, in a neighborhood between Hollywood and downtown LA. You know what I mean? And there's goats, chickens. It's pretty wild.
For lots of people, including me right at this moment, it's like, okay, well, let's just throw away our preconceived notions of how people live. Because guess what? They can be really off.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, this is wonderful. I'm really so glad to have spoken with both of you and to have discovered this music for myself. I get to really enjoy it and look forward to hearing more from you all. And I'm going to check out all the albums in between. And just thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Baruch.
Thank you, Baruch. Yeah, it's been nice talking.
Zac Holtzman, Senon Williams, thank you so much for talking with me. I really enjoyed the conversation. I loved hearing about how Dengue Fever came into being and how this band makes music, and really enjoying the new record, Ting Mong. Congratulations on 20 years as a band. As I said to the guys in the interview, one of the things that attracted me to talk to them was the fact that they're bringing together Cambodian music with music from the U.S. and hoping and discovering that it was true, that that's also part of healing from the war, the Vietnam War, which was such a horrible, tragic loss of life. And yes, a corporate misadventure, ultimately a war sold to us as ideological, but really it was about natural resources, always hoping for healing in every context. Folks, if you'd like to know more about Dengue Fever, their website is denguefevermusic.com. It's spelled DENGUE, fevermusic.com. Check out this new record, Ting Mong, and their previous albums. And if you or someone you know has a personal connection with the Vietnam War, this music may be especially meaningful. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Paradigms and that you'll check out the Paradigms website, paradigms.life, where all of our episodes are archived. At the bottom of that page, you'll also find a link to my latest project, which is an audiobook, Khalil Gibran's The Prophet, narrated by Starhawk. Check that out. I think you'll like it. The bringing together of cultures, especially when there's been a history of conflict, is so meaningful. It's so full of opportunity for healing, for new understanding, for expanding our worldview. No matter the perceived differences, people are people wherever you go. The conflicts that are happening now, Ukraine, Gaza, Syria, Myanmar, civil unrest in Africa. It's all humans fighting each other over ideas or land or oil or religion. But no matter how different we may look from each other, we're more alike than not. So I just keep hoping that humanity will get it. All this fighting can easily be replaced with art, music, understanding, curiosity even. All right, we're going to end the show with one more track from Dengue Fever's new record, Ting Mong. This one's called Wake Me Up Slowly. And let's let the word for the week be peace. Let's share peace with our neighbors on this earth. Neighbors in your town, neighbors on your continent, neighbors from across the world. All right. Baruch signing off for this episode of Paradigms. We'll be back next time with more inspiring people. Until then, peace and be well.
Chhom Nimol
been listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life.